Do I mention this every time? Hey everyone, today is Friday, May 28th, 2021. This is a Loop Through a Loop. I'm Tara. Thanks for coming to hang out with me today. I'm going to keep this as short as I can. I'm going to try and go through it as quick as I can because it's just a Bon Jovi kind of day. We're living on a prayer. We're almost there to nap time. And my kids think I'm up here folding laundry. So I don't have much time. To start, I am wearing just one of my favorite t-shirts that just makes me feel good if I'm kind of having a bummer day. This is my I'm a knit t-shirt from Designs by Yasmin, super comfortable. As far as I know, she still has this merchandise that you can buy. I would recommend checking it out. So without any chit chat, let's get into FOs. For this first week of May, I spent a few days under the weather. We had a cold hit the house. We kind of all had runny noses and body aches. And so I did a little bit of knitting, but I didn't really feel like it. So I did manage to finish the sweater for my daughter. This is Andrea Mowry's Velocore, knit in Yarn Bee Color Idol. And the colors are Neon Watermelon and Magenta is the purple. This was leftover yarn from my daughter's mittens, and I kind of just wanted to use up what I had. I originally wanted the top and ribbing for the sleeve to be the watermelon color, but there just wasn't enough watermelon color to go around. So I had way more of the magenta, so I just went with it. And it fits both girls right now. Our oldest is 5 and our youngest is 1. They both have birthdays this summer, so they're almost 6 and almost 2. It fits both of them for right now, and then when they can't wear it anymore, then it'd be a cute little pillow. I didn't do any short row shaping up at the front, like it's literally just a square. And I don't know if the pattern wanted me to do short row shaping, because after I split for sleeves and did the front panel and the back panel, I looked at the picture and was like, okay, I've got the general idea. I'll just go from here. So I didn't really look at the pattern after that. But I really like this, and eventually I would like to make my own Velocore, but that just wasn't going to happen right now. I just wanted to make something for the girls. This is kind of all that I've managed to do to get done besides being sick and then working on getting my blonde back. I'm only going to talk about this briefly because chances are by next week, it'll be a different shade of blonde. I took my light brown, auburn, whatever color you wanted to call it, hair. It looked fine. I didn't have any problems with the way that it looked. The problem for me was how I felt. I didn't feel like me. Like, I've had my hair dark before. And I've had my hair short before. There was something about going that dark. I just felt unsettled, like, I don't know. And what a silly thing to feel unsettled about your hair color. But also what a simple thing that I could just change, right? Because it's just hair. Of course, I say it's just hair, but I watched Good Hair on Netflix. That's narrated and hosted by Chris Rock, where he kind of goes out and explores the world of black hair. And in there, he asks Maya Angelou to, like, what does a woman's hair mean to her or whatever. And Maya Angelou says, it's her glory. And I was like gonna just be okay with this, but then Maya Angelou says it's her glory. And I thought, well, okay. I know that's silly. Okay, I'm gonna fix this. So I shouldn't say fix. I'm gonna change it so that I can feel, excuse me, more like myself. So I did a couple of color remover packets to try to get out the color that had been put in there as much as possible. Then I did a bleach bath, which sounds scary. What that means is you put lightener or bleach powder with a little bit of, with some developer, and then you put some shampoo to dilute it even more. And then you you put it through your wet hair and then you let it sit however long. I don't remember how long I did it. That lightened things up, but not as light as I needed it to go. So then what I ended up doing was putting foils in my hair to get the blonde that we see now, which worked out really kind of nice. And it's a little more warm than what I would like. So my next plan is, it's light enough now, because I was holding my daughter and I was looking at her hair in the mirror because remember, I want my hair to match my kids. I realized my hair is now lighter than hers. So I have a semi-permanent color that has more of an ash tone, a neutral ash tone that should get me maybe one shade darker than this, but hopefully will kind of tone out any of the brassiness that I still have at my roots. And you know what, even with this, even with kind of the warm brassiness, I feel more like myself in this and am so much more happier because I've been thinking about it. We know it's just hair. Like, I get it, it's just hair. Its main function is to keep my head warm. But then if it's just hair, why does it changing? Like, how come it affects us the way that it does? How come that dark hair messed with me the way I had not anticipated? Like, I don't ask my husband very often at all what I should do with my hair because he knows in the end I'm just gonna do what I want. And it's a way for me to play and express myself, a lot like knitting is. I enjoy the creative aspect of this, and it's just for fun. I don't know how to phrase this. All three of my kids have my hair color, and there was just something in my head that mommy changing her hair color to then not look like them bothered me. Now I'm trying to kind of like reverse that. When my kids look at me, I want them to see themselves and, like, you know, good feelings with that. So, and that might just all be silly, and as a stay-at-home mom, I probably overthink a lot of things. And in case anybody is wondering, the sweater that I'm wearing, I think I wore this in my very first episode. This is Gaudy, designed by Julie Knits in Paris Knit. The main color is Smells Like Teen Spirit by Stitched Together Studio. And then the color work is Traditions by Expression Fiber Arts. I don't know if any of these colorways are available anymore. I have no idea. I had bought this at our local yarn store that's no longer in business. That makes my heart really sad. And I ordered the color work. Excuse me, I'm still getting over some of that cold. And I bought the color work online like during Thanksgiving time, so I don't even know if she does that anymore. It has now become time to draw a winner for the giveaway, and I will drop in some footage so then you can see my daughter helping me out with all of that. And congratulations to our winner. By the time this podcast airs, I will have already sent the package out. And I'm so excited that I'm able to give that to one of you that comes to hang out with me. I don't like to think of it as like viewers, but like it's a chance to come and just hang out. I try to think of it as inviting you over to come hang out at my house. I would feed you if I could. I did enjoy reading everybody's plans for the summer. In summary, mostly everybody wants to do something outside with other family members or friends. Totally valid, makes so much sense after everything that we've been through with the COVID pandemic. I am really fervently praying and hoping that you get to do all of those things that you wanted to do this summer, and maybe even something you didn't expect, but it's a pleasant surprise. That would be nice. This week, I was also able to read The Four Winds. I do it through, I think I've mentioned this before. Do I mention this every time? That all my reading is on audiobook now? I probably say that every time. But I listened to The Four Winds by Kristin. Did not disappoint. I really enjoy her books. I've read a handful of them now. I've read The Nightingale, The Great Alone, and I've read Fly Away. I have not watched the Netflix series, and I have not read the sequel. So I probably won't watch the Netflix series anytime soon. Once I read a book, I don't normally go and watch the film adaptation because the book is mostly always better. And I am currently listening to Finding Dorothy, which is a historical fiction set back and with a dual timeline perspective. There is, it centers around Maud Baum, which would be Frank L. Baum's wife. And so there's a timeline of Maud's life from her growing up and the expectations set on her, and just her meeting Frank and them starting a family, and it goes along that timeline. The second timeline, excuse me, the second timeline is in 1939 on the MGM set of The Wizard of Oz and what takes place during the filming. So far, I think I'm probably about 3/4 of the way through it. I'll probably finish listening to it today. It's been really enjoyable, and I've got a couple other books I think lined up to listen to. I have tried to be my own parent and a grown-up and basically just say, you know what, getting on Instagram all the time throughout the day is just not the best for me. I've kind of cut back on Instagram a little bit. I still watch all of my YouTube podcasts that I subscribe to and that I enjoy, because for me, that's like getting to hang out with other knitters, since I don't know any other knitters in my physical world. So virtually get to hang out with knitters through podcasts, trying to take better care of myself so then I can take better care with the kids and have more patience and love and understanding for them throughout the day. Because the same thing that happens to kids happens to us, because we're all human beings. I mean, the more time that I'm on Instagram or like with my face physically in front of the screen, the less attuned I am to what's going on around me. And if something happens, my reaction to that is not what I want it to be. It's short-tempered and snippy, which is exactly what happens to kids if they're in front of a screen too long. I'm not anti-screen time. I just think it's like literally everything else in my life, that all things in moderation. Well, maybe not all things. So it's like 2 weeks since my last finished object at blah, 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 stay off my screen, blah, 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 blah. Well, that was a load of crap, because I ended up watching Hoarders, Selena Part 2, and also Ginny and Georgia on Netflix. and I've been watching some documentaries too, so whatever. So anyway, I just finished my latest project today, and I look a mess. At first I thought, how am I gonna style this? How do I wanna present it? And I thought, well, here's an idea. What if I just present it as myself? Like, what if I just literally put it on how I'm normally gonna wear it, which is whatever loungewear I'm wearing in the house, and then I'm just gonna throw it on over my clothes. So this is the Homeschooler, designed by Caitlin Hunter of Boyland Knitworks. This is my second one. My original was knit in this beautiful color. This is Barocco Ultra Alpaca in the candy mix colorway or something like that. It's on my Ravelry page. Big buttons. Knit on a US 8. I did exactly the same thing on this one. US size 8 for the main fabric, US 6 for the ribbing. I did kind of mix and match parts of the sweater. So the sleeves are the size 8 and the body's the size 7 to kind of account for my gauge and just kind of play around. The fit of it, I think, is very, very nice. I like the fit of it. This is like my geriatric dreams come true. This is, without a doubt, the most grandpa-ish sweater I've ever made or owned, really, for that matter. And since it was the reluctant homeschooler, I could not resist, but I did put in apple buttons. And I thought, that's totally something teachers would have worn when I was a kid in the 90s. And I thought, well, since the 90s fashion is kind of just having a little moment, whether it's good or bad, well, I'll just jump on that train, and I don't take myself so seriously as to not do this. So I will definitely wear this. And the reason why I made the second one is because I throw this one on so often. Now, this one is knit in Patton's classic worsted. So this is a more woolly. It's not as soft as my alpaca one. But what I like using these for, or what I like using this sweater for, is when it is cold outside to throw it on instead of putting on a jacket. I'd rather put on a wool sweater because it just keeps, it's a better insulator. And spit splicing, that's enough to convert me in of its own. I was able to knock this sweater out in about a week. I don't know, it's on my Ravelry page. You can, I'm pretty good about, like, when I start a project, I go ahead and get my project page all filled out and get going on it. And as soon as I cast off and all of my finishing is done, like ends woven in, then I go ahead and hit that I finished the project, and then I'll go and block it and do whatever I need to. I did not wet block this. This has only just been steam blocked because I like the fit of it just fine. The original pattern has the body a little bit more cropped, but I made this a little bit longer. So if I just stand back like this, so I've got my momper on. And if I was just having a day, I would just throw this on. Normally, I don't particularly care that the cuff and hem of the sweater line up exactly. I don't know if that's my favorite look, but the purpose of this is to stay warm. And the good news is that my button and buttonholes match accordingly. So unlike my original version where my buttonholes were way too small, so now I just slip it over my head, this one I can actually button or unbutton depending on my mood. So, and I still have my nice little pockets. And what I really enjoy about this sweater is it is a bottom up. And so the instructions have you start with the sleeves, knit the body, and then do the pockets. But if you wanted to, you could just go ahead and start working on the pockets, and that can be your swatch. So that's pretty cool. I used 6 skeins and I used 5 1/4. So I have about 3/4 of a skein left over, about 74 to 76 grams. I don't remember exactly. So that's enough that I should be able to maybe make a hat, just kind of whip up like a really simple plain hat. But it's definitely not sweater weather anymore. I just ordered an inflatable pool for us to have in the backyard so we can splash around and play this summer. Like I said, this is going to be put in the closet until the fall. So I thought I was done. I'm not done. There's something that came in the mail today and I'm just so excited. I have to share it. I ordered a Selena t-shirt from Q Productions, which is her family's production company. So I guess pretty much I ordered it from her family because I used to have a Selena t-shirt from Target a couple of years ago and then I got rid of it in one of my closet purges and I just realized I really missed it. So this one will stay forever. I'm super stoked about it. So I think this with my Apple buttons is like my elementary school dreams come true. I think it would be totally fine. So that's everything. And as silly as it sounds, so it came in a purple bag because from what I know, that was her favorite color. And I realized that this is kind of weird, but I kept the bag because I really liked that tone of purple, that shade of purple. And I'm not a purple girl. I think purple is pretty, but it's not like my happy color. Yellow is actually my happy color. But the color of the bag is actually a shade of purple that I really, really like. And so in my head, I'm thinking, maybe I could find yarn that is that same shade of purple, and then I could have a Selena sweater. I don't know. I'm gonna keep dreaming up about that one. It's an idea that's percolating in my brain. So that is my Reluctant Homeschooler and my Selena t-shirt. And then to wrap up the month of May, I did finally finish Something in the Air. This is designed by Joji Locatelli. This was my practice for knitting lace. I know that there's kind of like the debate between knitted lace and lace knitting. This is lace knitting since you are knitting the lace on every row instead of knitted lace where you do a lace row and then you would purl back or knit back. You kind of get like a break row. This has lace on every side. Knit mine with size 7 needles, 8, 7 or 8. Everything's in my project page on Ravelry at this point. I don't remember. That's sad. I have been working on this for so long that I kind of just forgot what needle size I was using. I think it was an 8. I used Hello Gabriella's DK weight yarn that I won in one of her giveaways in the color, I think this is cider. So I am going to put this on, and I apologize if it hits the mic. Okay, so I would say that looks good enough. This is something that I kind of won't have to play around with when I wear it because I want the picot edge to be able to show off because that's one of my favorite parts. I enjoyed making the picots. It didn't bother me. It didn't take that much extra time to make them. But I do feel like I can't just throw this on and go. I do kind of have to fiddle around with it just a little bit to get it to lay how I feel comfortable. Like I want it wrapped around my neck, but I can't have it too tight because I don't want to feel like I'm choking. So kind of find that happy balance. But I'm really pleased with how this turned out. This will look awesome with my winter coat that I have that's like a navy blue with a faux fur trim that's around this color. I think it'd be really pretty. And so now this is off the needles and I feel pretty good about it. I really, really, really enjoy this. You're just basically knitting a scarf and then you have a choice. Whenever you get to the end, you can either do a 3 needle bind off or you can graft it. I chose to graft it. I tried to be clever and then I realized that was stupid. Just do a regular graft and it turned out just fine. So that was a good lesson in don't make something harder than it needs to be. But I love this. It turned out really great. It looks awesome. And speaking of accessories, I have mentioned and worn this hat a few times. This is a hat that I designed using my Japanese Stitch Pattern Bible book. And it also, so this is my Odette hat and I also have an Odile hat. And both hat patterns are now up on Ravelry. You can get both of them for $5. So 2 hat patterns for $5. The patterns are charted. And then I also went ahead and did like the written out instructions. Now there are some stitches that could be a little bit tricky and I did put video links for those, like little video tutorials, but I just think it turned out really nice. This is my favorite one that I made. I think mostly just because of the yarn choice and I wish that I could remember what yarn this was, but I don't remember. But the coloring of this, I wear this one a lot. Did I mention what the pattern's name is? It's on Ravelry as Swan Pas de Deux because you have Odette and Odile, a light hat, a dark hat. There's similar patterns with subtle differences, like Odette tried to trick everyone to think she was Odile. So, and I've gotten some questions about, a couple of questions about this hat in particular and if the pattern's available. Yes, it is now available. I kind of just went ahead and published it on a whim after I knit my second hat in this pattern. I thought, okay, I feel like it's good to go. And then I have my technically third hat pattern that was, I knitted up in blue and called it So This Is Love, like Cinderella. I want to knit that one more time. I have yarn already, and once I knit through that pattern a second time using my instructions, if everything's good to go, I'll publish that too. So I'll keep you updated on that. I'm still working on the baby blanket for my nephew that will come later this year. I've made a little bit of progress. I kind of knit on it here and there, but not enough of a significant progress to show you anything. So I only have one other whip. I feel like when I got down to just one whip, just that blanket, I was like, oh, this is crazy. And then I was like, I feel like I need at least 2 projects. I need something kind of meditative and simple and easy, and then one that I need to use a little bit of brain power to work on to keep me balanced. And so what I decided was to cast on for Andrea Mowry's Pink Velvet. And the yarn that I'm using for this is leftover yarn that I've already had. I'm trying to be really, really good about using up what's hanging out in here. I think a lot of us have that intention. My thought behind it is the yarn was good enough for me to spend money on it, which means it's good enough for me to knit it. And so I'm trying to remember that. So here it is. The yarn used for the color work is Lion Brand Ferris Wheel and Pink Marmalade. And I had used this yarn when I made my first Ghost Horses sweater. And that was my first color work sweater I'd ever done. And I no longer have it, I passed it on. But I don't know if Lion Brand makes their Ferris wheel color line anymore. And then this purpley oxblood color is Yarn Bee Soft and Sleek DK. I don't know that I would call this a DK. It's probably sport at best, sometimes fingering, which is why I went ahead and chose it for this project. I cast on for the second size. I haven't done the neckband. What I did is I just cast on and then I went in straight for the short row shaping and then straight into the color work. However, I forgot a row of yoke increases before starting the color work. So then my stitch count was off when I finished my color work. And so what I'm doing right now is some raglan shaping to get my stitch count to where it needs to be, and plus also get my yoke to the depth that it needs to be. And it's either gonna work out or it's not. I have 3 more increases before I can split for the body, and so far it looks like it's going to fit okay. I smush it on right quick. So I have a couple more increase rows, and then I can split for the sleeves, and that'll give me enough room in the underarm that I can wear a shirt underneath the sweater. Even though this yarn is soft enough, I don't need it. This is next to skin soft. I did forget to mention this oxblood yarn I used when I made my husband's Montrealer. So the plan is finish the body, and then I have to see how much yarn I have left, because I have this skein and 1 more and that's it. So I need to see how much do I have left over after I get the body and pick up and do the neck before I can decide anything on sleeves. I think I'm really gonna like it so far. Let me zhuzh the hair a little bit. I used a size 4 on the color work, and for the body I'm using a size 3. When I get to the ribbing, I'll use a size 1. And also this Lion Brand yarn is more like a worsted weight. I have a worsted and a more of a sport weight, but everything's knitting up kind of okay. I think whenever I get a pattern, I look at the needle size as kind of like a suggestion, but mostly I just knit for the fabric I know that I'm going to want. And if it works, it works, and if it doesn't, it doesn't. And I kind of just, I have to learn by doing, and it doesn't matter how many times I like watch something or anything, like a podcast, or if I'm listening to a podcast and listen to people speak, I'm like, okay, I'll take that tip into account. And then still sometimes I'm just like, I think I just need to do it and mess it up on my own, so then I don't make that same mistake. Kind of like what I did with my hair. So one other thing before I forget is on the inside, if you look, I didn't catch any floats, and I chose to do this on purpose. So look, there's quite a big float right there. I did that on purpose because my hand's not going to be going through this part, and so I didn't think catching floats was going to be necessary. One thing I modified on the color work chart is in between these 2 points, there's supposed to be some color work right there. I, on purpose, omitted that because I like the points as they are. I liked it kind of more of a scalloped look instead of more of a straight line. I just thought that was more interesting and I enjoyed that. So that's what I did. So that's what I've been working on for the past week or so. Once I finished up everything else, then I cast this on, and my plans are keep knitting on my whips, and I should be able to next month get that hat. I can show you the yarn I'm going to use because it's right here. So on this, this is Love Hat. On my second version, I am going to use some of this beautiful green yarn. It's Good Vibrations by Kristin Archer Designs. Unfortunately, she's no longer dyeing yarn. She is kind of taking yarn dyeing off her plate so then she can concentrate on other stuff that's already on her plate. So I'm really glad that I grabbed a skein of this before she decided she wasn't going to dye anything anymore. So I, on purpose, picked this green because I have a green hat that I bought at Target years ago that I love. And it's kind of getting a little worn, and I'm not completely in love with the fit of it. It would be in style now because everyone's wearing, I shouldn't say everyone, it's on trend, it seems right now, to have like some, like almost not necessarily a full-on point, but okay, well, to me it just looks like a nipple because there's excess fabric up here. So it's fitted around the head, and then up at the top there's loose fabric, but it's not loose enough to actually like have any slouch. It just stands up almost kind of like a gnome. It just looks like a nipple, or, you know, I'm not gonna say what else it is because, okay, well, I'm gonna say it looks like an ill-fitting condom. My grandmothers are probably rolling over in their graves. That's not particularly my style of hat. I think it looks cool on everyone else. Not really me. So I'm gonna take that color that I like so much and knit a hat that's more me. Anyway, that's the plan for that. Everything, stay tuned. In a couple weeks, I'm going to have an update on my stash, my Knit Simply, how things are going. And knock on wood, hopefully I've done pretty well. I don't think I've tried to be really good. I feel like if I have something in my possession, but I never use it, that is just as wasteful as just spending all the money. Does that make sense? And to help kind of curb my appetite from buying, I have actually done a pretty good job of curating what I am allowing myself to see on Instagram. So then, as far, even like with designers and yarn dyers, that even if I don't follow them, they are on my radar because I hear them spoke about on podcasts. And if I do kind of go through the explore option on Instagram and I kind of just scroll a little bit, their stuff will still pop up. And so I don't need to be bombarded with everything that I'm seeing on Instagram. When I'm ready to go look at some yarn or I want to go look at a pattern, then it's because I'm choosing to go see it, not because I'm taking in all of this information. And I don't feel like I'm really missing out, because if you don't know what's out there, then there's nothing to miss. Also, I think right now in this moment has helped me kind of just stay true to what I like and not fall into the trap of what's really, really popular. So that's been actually really nice. That's everything. That's it. I hope I kept this short and sweet. I guess now I really should fold some laundry. That's everything. Stay tuned in a couple weeks. We'll go through my stash one more time. It may get crashed by one of my kids. We don't know. Thanks for coming to chill out with me, and I'll see you soon. Bye.